folks, and welcome to lesson 3.5 word problems. I hope I have a little more energy today than I did last day. I apologize if I seem sluggish. I hope today's lesson has more energy and pizzazz and excitement. Yes, okay, I'm being crazy already. All right, so here we go. First thing we need to remember, folks, is one common error on the upcoming test that I usually see is that students forget to include their let or introductory statements. So don't forget them. So make a mental note of that to not forget your let statements, okay? All right, so here we go. Example 1. This is found in your textbook, page 149, number 5. For the school play, one adult ticket costs $5 and one student ticket costs $3. Twice as many student tickets as adult tickets were sold. The total receipts were $16.50. How many of each kind of ticket were sold? So we need to figure out the adult versus the student tickets. So let's let the be our let statements. So let A represent the number of adult tickets sold. And again, it's based on what they're asking for. It's the number that are sold, not the cost of each adult ticket, because that was already given. So let A represent the number of adult tickets sold, and we'll let S represent number of student tickets sold. Awesome. Okay, so now what we're going to do, folks, is now we're going to come up with these equations. Okay, first of all, let's deal with the cost equation. I think that's probably the easiest one. So it says the total receipts were $16.50. Remember, the adult student and the adult price and the student price were different. So each adult paid $5, so it's going to be 5A, plus each student paid $3, so 3S equals $16.50. Okay, so that's the first equation. That's your cost equation, if you're wondering about that, where that comes from. Now the second one is tricky, so let's take a look at it. Twice as many student tickets as adult students were sold. So there's going to be more students there than adults. Okay, so it's going to be S equals twice as many as the adults. Okay, so twice as many tickets of students were sold as adults. Okay, so that's equation 2. Obviously, taking a look at this, this is a substitution question because we've got in our second equation a variable already isolated. So I'm going to say sub 2 into 1. By the way, I hope everybody did well on their quiz while we're doing that. Little side note. If you need help with your quiz, come and see me. It gives you an indication of how you're doing and getting ready for the upcoming unit test that should be posted on the website, okay? So take a look at your quiz. If you need some help, let me know. Okay, back to this problem now. Wherever I see the S in 1, I'm going to replace it with 2A. So it's going to be 5A plus 3. Let me just put that in a different color. Equals $16.50 because it's a substitution. All right. Now let's realize we got 5A plus 6A. That's 11A. You can do that all in one step. Equals $16.50. If you get A by itself, divide both sides by 11. So A equals 150. Okay. We know how many adult tickets were sold, so now let's go and find the other by saying sub. I'm just going to erase that because I just went right over my work. Try not to do that. I was rushing it a bit. There, that's a little better. So we're going to go sub A equals 150 into what equation looks easier. Hopefully you're going to put it into 2 because that's the easiest one. So I've got S equals 2 times 150. And S equals 300. Let's just make sure that makes sense before we do our therefore statement. And go back to make sure, because sometimes people get the second equation. It's kind of tricky. Twice as many student tickets as adult students were told. So take a look. There's twice as many students tickets than adults. So it does make sense. All right. If you are backwards, then you just got to change your equation. Many people, I would say, would write A equals 2S because there's twice as many, but it's just the way it is. And the students have to equal twice as many adult tickets. All right, so here we go. Therefore, 150 adult tickets and 300 student tickets were sold. Student, my fault, tickets. Awesome. Okay, there's example one. Let's do one more. And this is one that you're going to see in real life. So hopefully you can use this. So this is example two, which is in page 150, number 12. All right. Okay. So we're taking a look at your future investments, folks, and hopefully you're going to be investing at RRSPs so you can retire soon, or you're going to invest in RESPs for your children's education when you have children in the future. So this is something that's real life and applicable. Okay, so when it says a principal of $2,500 is invested, that's your starting amount. That's how much you invest in. It's your initial amount in an investment. It says that part of it is at 8% per annum, and the rest is at 12% per annum. Okay, so we got two different. We're taking the sum of $2,500 and we're breaking it into two pots. Some is going at 8% and some is going at 12%. Per annum means per year. So in 1 year, the two investments earned equal amounts of interest. How much was invested at each rate? Now this is a tricky question, and unless you've got a bit of information, you'd be able probably to get the first one done, but the second equation is pretty tricky, so that's why we do it together as a class. Okay, so what would it says? The question says how much was invested at each rate. So we're going to just use x and y, so we're going to let x represent the money, so you can use $ at 8%. And we're going to let y represent the money invested at 12%. Okay, so what we know is a total investment, the total of this is 2,500. So we can do the sum formula right away. That's pretty easy. X plus y equals 2,500. Okay, that's equation one. The second equation is a little tricky. And it has to deal with realizing that they have equal amounts of interest. Okay? So how much interest was at the first one? So for 8%, that's going to be 0.08x, because that was the first pot, equals the second pot of interest, which is at 12%. So 0.12y. Okay? And that is my second equation. All right, looks like we're doing a substitution here, folks. Okay, so I'm going to rearrange this. And I'm going to put down, I'm going to rearrange it. So I get the x by itself, so it's going to be x equals 2,500 minus y. And I'm going to sub x equals 2,500, subtract y into 2. I'm going to sub that into 2. So it's going to be 0.08 times the substitution, which is 2,500 subtract y, equals 0.12y. Okay, do my distributive law, and I've got 2,000 minus 0.08y equals 0.12y. Leave the 200 there. Bring the other y over because it's negative. Collect like terms, so it's going to be 0.12y plus 0.08y. And we got 200 equals 0.2y. Okay, to get them by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 0.2. So y in this case equals 1,000. Okay, so we know how much was invested now at 12%. And to finish this off, sub y equals 1,000 into 1 That's a good equation to sub it into. So x plus 1,000 equals 2,500. And x equals 2,500. Subtract 1,000. So x equals 1,500. All right. So let's do our therefore statement. So therefore, 1,500, don't forget your units, dollars was invested at 8%, while $1,000 was invested at 12%. Just give me a sec, guys. I got to pause. I got a phone call here. Okay, sorry about the interruption. The phone is ringing. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is a case where you take your investment and you put it into two pots. I want you to know that when you go to college university, you are going to be, some of you are going to be receiving OSAP, which is Ontario Student Application Program, where you apply for money from the government, and some of it's going to be provincial and some of it's going to be federal. And please be careful when you're paying it back. They're going to be at different interest rates. So always pay the biggest one back first. All right, so that's just for if you have to have an OSAP loan or a government loan, or maybe you have to borrow money from the bank to do university or college. So please be aware of that. All right, so here's your homework, folks. Page 149, numbers 2, 4, 6, 10, 11, and 15. Give it a try, folks, and really try to practice coming up with these equations. Please see me if you need any help, and namaste.